Hey guys, I got a really interesting one for you today. A couple of months ago when I got my Stealth, I dialed it in and I was like, dude, this amp freaking rocks. It's a great amp. I still love it and I think it's amazing. I love the texture, the aggression, the gain structure on it, and just the overall tone is amazing. And I wondered, like, how much does the Stealth differ from the original? And I wanted to do a head-to-head kind of comparison between the two amps to see how far these amplifiers have evolved over the years and how different the Stealth is from the original 5150. And I'm also wondering, like, has it evolved so much, has it surpassed the original so much that it's kind of made the original, in a way, kind of obsolete? Now, please don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for this amplifier. Without this amplifier, music wouldn't be what it is today, guitar players wouldn't be what they are today, and the Stealth wouldn't be what it is today, and all of the other amplifiers that were inspired by this original would not be what they are today. So, again, please don't get me wrong, tons and tons of respect here. But things change and things evolve and get better, right? So I want to see how much better the Stealth is, how they compare side by side, what the gain structure's like, what the overall tone's like, the top end, the bottom end, the mids, everything. I want to see even the noise level between the two amplifiers, how much of a difference there is. So today we're going to shoot these out and pay tribute to the granddaddy of all modern metal tones, and again, see how this series of amplifiers has evolved over the years. Let's get started. Okay, so before we get started with the shootout, I'm going to dial this in from scratch. I'm going to turn it on for the first time and kind of share the experience with you guys here and just get a good tone out of it. And just so you know, the overdrive pedal will remain off until I get it to sound good without it. And then I will go ahead and engage the overdrive pedal and dial it in further from there. So I'm going to dial it in with my in-ears out. So I'm going to use the in-the-room sound like I always do, and then fine-tune it with the in-ears after that. You guys are going to hear the mic'd cab, which is the Mesa 212 with vintage 30s, and I have the Royer R10 and the SM57 on it. And I got a meter over here, so I'll be watching that to make sure I'm not spiking the signal here. And once I get it sounding good in the room, stick the in-ears back in, record some riffs, do a couple of mixes, and then I'm going to get the Stealth off the shelf and do a side-by-side comparison with the same riffs and the same mixes and see how similar or different these amps are from each other. Okay, so basically I think I got a good enough tone in the room where I can finish it off by putting on my in-ears and fine-tuning it from there. So at the end of that little segment there, I clicked the overdrive pedal on. I'm going to leave it on for the rest of the time here because it definitely needs that. And now that I got the in-ears on, I'm going to go ahead and fine-tune it from here and listen to the same exact thing that you guys are hearing, because now I'm hearing the mic'd cab as opposed to the in-the-room sound. So let me go ahead and finish it up now, and then we'll go ahead and do some mixes and some riffs. Well, it definitely has some noise issues, but I mean, what do you expect? This thing's pretty old, and that's just how amps were back then, and they've gotten quieter over the years, so that's to be expected. A little bit of noise when they turn the knobs, and that's also to be expected. You know, you probably have some dirty pots here, and it's normal, like typical stuff, right? I think we're at a good enough point where I can start doing a couple of mixes with it, and then I'm going to grab the Stealth and do the same mixes and same riffs with that, and see where we end up. Well, there you have it. We put both of them in some mixes on both channels, and we did some isolated tracks to compare them, and we did some tracks with the overdrive pedal on and off on both channels, and we even did a noise test. I thought that would be interesting. So here's basically what I learned when I did this shootout. Regarding the blue channel on the Stealth and the rhythm channel on the 5150, I found that the rhythm channel in the 5150 had a little more gain, believe it or not. Now don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of gain on the Stealth Blue channel for an awesome tight rhythm channel. Now when I compare the red channel on the Stealth to the lead channel on the 5150, there's definitely more gain on the red channel of the Stealth. I mean, I have it at about 11 o'clock on the Stealth, where on the 5150 I have it around 1 or 2 o'clock, right around there, to achieve the same amount of gain. Now regarding the overall type of gain and the gain structure between these two amplifiers, I feel like the gain has gotten drier and more refined over the years, while also having more gain in the amps. Every time they've evolved, they've gotten more gain, but it's a different type. Like I said, it's kind of dry when compared to the rich kind of saturated gain in the earlier amplifiers, and it's a bit more refined and tighter. When I did the noise test between the two amplifiers, whether the gate was on or off, the older amplifier was obviously much louder than the newer version. Now that's to be expected, so it's really not a big deal. Most amplifiers have gotten quieter over the years. So as a whole, I think the amplifiers have definitely evolved in a lot of really good ways over the years. I mean, they've gotten more refined, the gain is more controlled, and it's tighter, and it's a little drier, and you can really hear the note separation a little better. And I really like the fact that the amps are much quieter now and easier to kind of tame. And I also have to mention that the effects loop on the newer amplifiers is much better. Now, I also mentioned earlier in this video that maybe after doing this test we would find out that the overall tone and gain structure in the original amplifier would be kind of obsolete now, especially when compared to the Stealth. Totally not true at all. I mean, that amp still sounds amazing in a mix, in the room. It feels great. So every time I played through it, even when I was doing the mixes and kind of warming up and doing stuff, I was blown away at how good it sounded. I mean, it still sounds amazing. So could you still put it in a recording today? Absolutely. Could you still play it on stage today? Absolutely. Just get a really good noise gate though, because it's a bit noisy again when compared to the newer model. So I have to give that amp mad props for still being an amazing amplifier. That thing was way ahead of its time. And I think 20 years from now, it would still sound like a modern high-gain monster. That's the granddaddy of all high-gain amps that you hear today. So we have to give it a lot of respect. Yes, it's gotten more tame and refined and less noisy over the years, but it still kicks a lot of ass. Now, some of you are probably thinking, why are you using a 50 watt when you compare it to the 100 watt original? I couldn't get a hold of a 100 watt, so that's why I had to do it. And as you may or may not know, I did a video on how the 50 watt Stealth could sound a lot like the 100 watt. So I got the settings on this to sound very close to the 100 watt version. So don't worry, there's not a huge difference right now because I got the settings cranked on this to kind of make up for the different wattage. Well, again, I have to give a lot of thanks to Matt from Motor City Guitar for letting me use his amplifier for this shootout. I really appreciate that very much. And if you really like what you heard with the Stealth, Motor City does have them. Click the link below and you can get one for yourself. They ship anywhere in the U.S., and if you're outside of the state of Michigan, you don't pay any sales tax. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because I got a lot of great stuff coming up, and I'll see you on the next one.